Yo, Peter.
Yo, Adam.
What's up?
What's up?
Question.
Yes.
What's the most important chord? No, go. Fast.
F.
Quick. Oh. Major? Minor?
F.
Diminished?
Moo.
Oh.
That was a moo chord?
Yeah, it was a moo.
It's the intro.
They know what's going on. I'm Adam Manis.
And I'm Peter Martin.
We've been arguing through the intro forever, buddy.
That's right, man.
Yeah.
Are we going off the rails?
We've been off the rails forever, man. Come on.
This is fun. This is the You'll Hear a podcast. Music advice coming at you.
Yeah. Brought to you by Open Studio. I'm definitely off the rails today, buddy. I'm so sorry.
This is fun.
You're just going to have to deal. I can't
Was that
come
the
back.
moo you played? It sounded like a cluster chord or a cluster F.
It's an Open Studio moo. It's really with F on the bottom. This is really a D flat moo. I should have probably played.
That's a moo.
They're both it's the same shape.
Take me to the yacht. I want my yacht rock.
What's that one?
Oh, that's
meow.
the meow.
Yeah.
Why does our cat sound like we're turning a cat into gut strings?
Because I took 30 seconds and I YouTubed cat sounds, and that's what we
But
got.
why is it killing a cat sound? It's
Um,
like final cat sounds.
Final cat sounds? That's so dark, man. Oh, wow.
That's what it sounds like.
Oh, boy.
Sorry. All right.
Back on track. It's a podcast. We got listeners here.
That's right.
Yeah.
So this is fun because we have been having some fun the last couple of days.
Really
and
have.
we're going to kind of not really do a recap, but talk about, I believe, a concept that came up in a course that we were recording with none other than Aaron Parks.
The great Aaron Parks.
Who was in the house
Yeah.
at Open Studio these last 2 days doing a new course, which I believe we're going to call
Servicing the music.
Servicing the music. Or
Serving the music.
Servicing the music. Like with legal papers. That is not a diminished chord. You are ordered to... Okay, if you're not on YouTube, you need to go on YouTube.
Cut that part. Cut that part out. Cut that part out.
Was just
Serving the music.
Serving the music, which I love. I love the. Are you in some legal problem right now? Is everything cool?
I'm just in a loopy mood. You know, you've been recording for a minute and you
That's
just
right.
get a little. Everything just gets a little funny.
Right. Did you have a funny cigarette out in the driveway
No, I
before we
promise.
started
I promise.
today?
No.
Okay, so
Serving the music, but it was a beautiful.
this is a great concept too.
It's amazing, and he's such a thoughtful.
And this
musician.
is coming from Aaron, even though we talk about that too.
Yeah, and he just talks. I mean, the whole course is designed to sort of shake you out of just your habitual playing of things that you just sort of run your fingers over. And he has all these amazing techniques to do it, like the sort of rhythm technique of putting it in your body, and the singing technique he has. And then on day 2, Peter, he talked about his relationship with Barry Harris's teachings. He took some master classes with Barry when he was very young, when he was like 14 or 15.
Yeah.
And he goes through this whole story of how, then when he was a young musician in his early 20s, he sort of wanted to step away from that and do his own things, as most young musicians want to do. You want to sort of buck the system that you've just learned, and then how, as he's gotten older and a little more wise, he's kind of come back to these things and seen their value and their importance. The functional harmony ideas, things that we love to talk about around here. There's no right or wrong with this. Both are valid, and both can lead to great music. They're just different stages of development. He shared a great Nietzsche quote about how these different stages of artistic development are very common in artistic growth and probably almost inevitable in certain degrees. But it was a really lovely weekend with Aaron, and he talked about this one Barry Harris concept that I've been also talking about in some shorts, and I thought we could talk about today. And the title of this is The Most Important Chord, ? Because it's a bit cheeky. It might be the most versatile chord.
As we do. Okay.
I don't know if the most important chord would be this, but we're talking about a diminished chord. And it's definitely one of the most useful chords that there is. It might be the most important.
Are we restricting
chord.
this to the fully diminished?
The fully diminished, and we're talking about a fully diminished 7th,
So half diminished need not apply.
Well, hold your horses.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. B, D, F, and A flat is where we're going to start. And this is a stack of minor thirds, of course, right? So this all comes from Barry Harris, this way of thinking about it. Not that, Barry Harris invented this, but he certainly had a huge part in the ability to communicate this. And now, once you know these sounds, you can hear them anyway. So this diminished chord is very unsettled. It doesn't feel like it has a home. It doesn't feel like it wants to stay here. But it does lead beautifully to a very important chord, a tonic. A C major here, right?
Subtle much?
This B diminished can lead beautifully into a C major. And that C major definitely feels like it wants to stay here. It is a grounded, warm place to live. And the B diminished feels, out of nowhere. Composers use that chord to create a feeling of uncertainty. Now, what I love to talk about with this is we're going to get into all the permutations of this B diminished, but it is important because it contains in it several, I think at least we're going to talk about 12 different chords that resolve to C major today. From this one chord, there are 12 different. So let's start with the diminished itself. So what this does is this gives us voice leading going to a tonic. So our B naturally wants to lead to here. Our D can lead really either to C or to E, but C is very heavy. F certainly wants to lead to E, and A flat certainly wants to lead to G.
And just to be clear, some people are like, why is that? Certainly because of the half step. That's more of a voice. You can what do you call that? Not voice lead. Leading tone.
Leading tone.
You can leading tone a whole step or even beyond that, but 100%. That half step is, especially when there's in comedy, like,
and it's not this is a certainty. It's not like this is the only way you can use it, but this is certainly a common way to think about it.
The only thing certain is death and taxes.
It's 100%. But these half step, they have a lot of, I like to think about it as weight. They have a lot of gravity that lead you towards places, right? So our B diminished here with the B on the bottom is a great way to get to a C with a C on the bottom. But you can use different inversions. I'm putting Peter to sleep. I can tell.
No,
you look.
No.
These different inversions. So here I'm gonna play some open chords. Right?
Yep.
Different inversions. If we put the A flat, that also leads to C. An A flat diminished, A flat fully diminished, it leads to C. It sounds great because of that half step movement to C with G in the bass. If we do an F diminished, which is the same notes as the B diminished, so a different inversion, leads to C with E in the bass. And beautiful voice leading was had. And D also leads to C with C in the bass, could lead to E, C with E in the bass. But as you're seeing here, each one of those diminished inversions leads to a very prominent C major chord in any of the inversions. And that's how a lot of composers and arrangers use it, and how we can use it when we're playing piano. It really gets a lot of cool sounds. So that's the first four chords that resolve to C, and they resolve to different Cs with different C's, different inversions of the bass. And again, that's not a hard and fast rule either. A flat diminished can lead beautifully to a C major with C in the bass. F diminished can lead to C with C in the bass. It doesn't have to be, but those voice leading principles work in the bass as well.
So we're a third of the way there.
We're a third of the way
there.
My
math is correct.
But wait, there's more. If we take this top note, A flat, on this B diminished, and we just drop it by a half step, now we have the notes of a G dominant 7 chord. Now, of course, we know that's going to sound great going to C.
Never heard of it.
Right? And all the inversions sound great. Pretty much the same as all the others. G7 to C over G7 to C. Both work. But we know that. What if we took the F of this B diminished and we dropped it a half step? That's an E dominant 7 chord. Now, you might not think this, but all of the notes of E dominant 7 resolve beautifully to C major. Of course, they resolve beautifully to C's relative minor.
That's the connection, right?
Right, but they resolve beautifully too to C major. And do not sleep on this one, because there's some beautiful stuff to get with an E dominant 7 going to C major.
Well, I think of
going to F.
Going up to F, but then coming back down,
But the voice leading is very similar to the G7 and to the B diminished. I'm doing... That's a good one. That's a good one. And then again, all of these inversions can lead that E7 to C major. It sounds beautiful. Now we go back to our B diminished. We drop our D to D flat 7.
This is classic right here.
Called the tritone sub.
Hello.
But again, all these inversions can also lead...
Don't try my tone sub.
try your tone sub. Beautiful. And then finally, if we go back to this B diminished, we drop the lowest note B down, B flat. That's the back door right there.
Back door.
To C. And again, all inversions lead to different parts of C, right? Different. Beautiful, right? And then not only that, but just as far, you can also think about this melodically too. If you're playing a G7, any one of those dominant chords, here's E dominant, that works as an extension essentially over G7. B flat, D flat, they all work as extensions to go to C. But they also work as melodic devices too.
I think they're great. And the melodic uses devicing is kind of the most interesting to me. So it's 5 to 1 G7. That triadic pair kind of playing. Is that triadic pair?
Yeah. Totally.
So B flat, E, and this is just not without even the 7th on them, just triads. So B flat, G, E. Was there one more? No, that was the 3, right?
There's 4.
What's the 4?
B flat, G, E, and D flat.
Oh, that's right.
They all work like that.
Yeah. And then if you add in the 7th. Because a lot of times people let me use the tritone substitution or this defect. Which is cool, but isn't it cool? Wouldn't you rather do this?
And not
through all of them.
Not only that, but you could do this harmonically as well, right? If you want to do if you have, especially if you're playing solo piano, or even if you're not, but you have a lot of time on a 5 chord and you're just trying to get back to C, try mixing and matching these. Check out
with
E7.
the root and everything.
E7 to D flat. You know what I mean? They sound so good, and you'll hear arrangers, especially in some Great American Songbook standard orchestra arrangements, a lot of this family of dominance that you'll hear. Brian Wilson loved this one for the Beach Boys.
Yep,
B flat, triads. Sort of reverse backdoor, but using them as families dominant, and you can actually mix and match the diminished and what we're about to talk about, which is another version of this, the next 4 chords of this family. We're back to the B diminished. And remember, we just lowered each one of these tones by a half step, and we got those dominant chords. If we raise our A flat up a half step, we have the notes of the D minor 6 shape. Also, it could be a B half diminished, but Barry Harris would talk about this as a D minor 6 shape. And remember when we lowered the A flat, what did we lower it to? G7. It was a G7, and this D minor 6 is very related to it's like a G9. Yeah. So it's very related to that. And so this, of course, this D minor 6, we can use to resolve, right? And all the inversions, just like we used all the inversions to resolve from the diminished and from the dominant, it works the same way, and beautiful voice leading. If we took the F up, B minor 6.
6, right.
And these notes, while you would never think it, resolve gorgeously to C major.
Oh yeah.
They really do. I was telling Aaron Parks this actually. I used to play in this band that would play a bunch of old dance band charts, really old arrangements.
Yeah.
And one arranger, I forget who it was, but he would always notate if we were doing a 5-1 to C, he loved the chord G major 7 flat 9. And I was like, what the hell is this G major 7 flat 9? It's a B minor 6 over G, part of the family.
I love that, and I hate that when people are like, no, that's this. It's no, that's the way he heard it and thought about it.
It's part of that family. And the voice leading checks out. The voice leading is legit. I love this B minor 6 to C. It's such an addictive sound when you get to it. Look at this here in this inversion, the G sharp. All of these, imagine this over G. Does that sound like it's some major 7 flat 9? It sounds like a dominant chord.
Yeah.
Especially when you resolve it. Isn't that cool?
Absolutely.
All of those half steps working together. So that's with F lowered. If we look at the D in our B diminished lowered, raised, A flat minor 6, right? And this is pretty obvious if you know any of Barry's 6 chords. If you put this over a G, it's a G7 flat 9 flat 13.
Right.
It's A flat minor 6, right? From that A flat melodic minor.
And it's got shades of D flat 9.
Shades of D flat 9, exactly. So kind of related to that tritone subsound. And again, all inversions could easily seamlessly go to all inversions of C.
Yeah.
And then one more, if we raise the B up to C, that's F minor 6, which we know. You know, you put that over a G. Yeah. But the classic, right? Like, so again, all inversions. D half diminished essentially, and that goes there. And so that's all from one chord, a very powerful little chord called the diminished. Now, here's where magic can happen, Peter, is when you start working through this in different ways and you realize, just like you can mix and match all those dominants, you can actually mix and match all of these. And like working through it, let's say we want to go from C major, and we're eventually going to end up on C major over G. And maybe we want to use that A flat as a bass note. Maybe we do that B, right, that B minor 6. But then you can start moving notes around to the other versions of this. So then maybe we do B minor 6 to A flat minor 6. And we start mixing, or maybe we do B minor 6 to our B flat 7 over A flat. You know what I mean? We get all these beautiful, all this voice leading can happen just by moving notes around, or even just, you know, taking the diminished and practice moving one of these notes at a time. You know, this sort of sound of. So that's going, you know, this B half diminished D minor 6 flat to the diminished. And you can do that with each one of these notes. Like you can take the D up. You take the F up. Isn't that beautiful? You can take more than one note and find these great voice leading opportunities. It's really endless.
Yeah.
And I just did a short on this actually. All of this, what I just talked about, I crammed into 1 minute, and it's going to, I think it should be out by now, but it's called A Lifetime of Work in 60 Seconds, because it really is a lifetime.
Right.
Because we're talking about one diminished chord here.
I remember that one. You were speaking at quite a clip.
I mean, I've been talking at quite a clip right now. But it's you know, if this is a little bit over your head, just be patient with it. Like just take one concept of it. Just take the diminished and all the inversions and practice your voice leading.
Yeah.
It's so handy for every situation to kind of understand where these things flow and to give you some ideas. Really, that's all it is. It's not, I always tell people, like, this is not something that you're going to want to, I'm going to memorize all of these chords in every key.
And this is the order with which I'm going to use them.
Order, and this is, it's
a
more just
vocab, right? Like harmonic vocabulary?
It's harmonic vocabulary. And it's really just a jumping off point to start exploring. Like, what sounds good?
Almost like conceptual vocabulary. Like it's a catalog, you know, expanding your repertoire of it's really one concept, but because it's so many different permutations, once you understand the system,
that's right, that
it's really exciting for me. I mean, a lot of these I play, but not all of them.
Yeah.
So it's got me thinking about, you know, just different options with it, that's you know, and a lot of people get caught up, I think, when they hear system, because they're like, oh, but aren't you supposed to hear it first? This type of a system can really open up your ears, because even ones that maybe don't resonate, like that one doesn't resonate to me as much in that situation, but I can hear other like times that I'd want to use that. And that's not a shape that I go through.
Yeah.
So if I go through this in different keys with this system, I'm forcing my hands into something new, which is what it's supposed to be about. Like, are we only going to play the things that are comfortable to us, that are ergonomic? Because then we might play some great stuff, and if we have a good, you know, repertoire of ideas, good things are going to happen, but we're not going to be expanding. Yeah. We're not going to be growing.
Yeah.
So,
and even if you're just, like you said, even if you're just hearing this stuff,
you know, training is great.
That's all. Like, you don't need to geek out on the theory as much as I did here.
That's for the application.
It's and it's really for trying to transmit it to other people, which is what I like to talk about. But man, just trying to get the sounds of these, and even if you, like I said, start slow, just try to get one or one shape or one of these shapes in one key, and this world opens up. These chords are meant to sort of surround, envelop, you know, beautiful spaces.
Right.
So we're going to any of these, you know, we can use that voice leading to help us get there.
Yeah. Love it, man. Thank you. Thank you for laying this down so eloquently.
Thank you, Barry Harris.
And tenderly.
Thank you, Barry Harris. Thank you, Aaron Parks, for the great reminder of why it's so
Right.
important.
Thank you to the diminished gods of the sky.
Thank you to, well, it's thank you to nature
Right.
to make those diminished chords resonate. Thank you to mathematics. Well, I guess thanks to Isaac Newton.
We're going to have to really go back and
Thank you, Albert Einstein. Ton of
Big
people.
shout out.
Shout out.
Pythagoras, my man.
Shout out to the Enlightenment.
Shout out to the Dark Ages. If you don't know the dark times, how do you know the light times? Till next time.
You'll hear it.